Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all the honors and the praises belong to Yahweh Sham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wahavaka Kwadash. The name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh. Son's name is Yahweh Shai, in who I reverence and honors to the apostles that are in the Holy Spirit and to the hopeful elect across the globe, and to the few, very few brothers and sisters listening and also learning in the hopes of being saved within these last days. This lesson needs to be done, right? This lesson is going to be called high esteem versus high esteem versus low self-esteem, right? And the reason why I'm doing this because I've noticed a lot of things with the brothers. Sometimes you think, oh no, is it just me? Or other brothers going through the same, they're going through the same thing. Remember, Satan knows he has a short time, so he's going to try everything he can to belittle you and try to get to your psyche, right? And what does your psyche deal with? Your mind. But I want to tell you, brothers, in this truth that I've been called into this truth. Yahweh called you because there was something different about you, right? You had a different quality, right? So don't let anyone tell you any different. And it's Yahweh Shai that gives us the esteem and the confidence. I want to start with Proverbs 13. Not 13, hold on. 13. We got 14 here as well. There's a lot of scriptures we can go into. Go to Proverbs 14 and 26. Right? In the fear of the Lord, Yahweh Shai, is strong confidence. Strong confidence. And his children shall have a place of refuge. What protection? So, to fear the Lord, you're going to have a certain level of confidence because you know, well, I'm doing what he told me to do. So that brings forth what? More confidence. Now, when you sin, what happens? Your confidence kind of goes when you sin. Even though the elect sin, but when you sin, you feel bad, right? And it kind of shakes your confidence because the devil will use that against you. And that's why we want to sin less. So there's confidence with what? Fearing Yahweh Shai. Right? You feel better about yourself. And he gives you that confidence. Right? He gives you that confidence. So when you go to that word confident, check it out. Assurance of belief in goodwill, veracity, from Latin confidentia in the Latin, right? To have full trust or reliance on Yahweh Shai, not on one's own powers and what circumstances, right? So who do we look to? Yahweh Shai. And that's where we get our confidence. Because you've got people that have a problem with that, especially insecure people. Oh, why is he so confident? We have to knock him down a notch. This is how people think. Because they're not confident. They don't know what they believe in. Right? They don't know if they're coming or going. Right? So we're going to continue with this. And we're going to go into some of the examples of Yahweh Shai and the apostles. What it was showing them. Right? So let's start at just a few examples. Mark 9 and 23. Right? And the reason I'm bringing this out because I've noticed, I was watching a few videos. I can't believe it's even happening with the elder apostles. I was watching one video with the elder apostles, not just the elder apostle and another brother, and you have people walking past saying, useless. So this is happening worldwide. These are witches, these are warlocks. This really is Satan trying to break your confidence in Yahweh Shai because the devil knows he has a short time. Right? Yeah, I'm watching a few videos. It's happening to brothers. Right? Useless. That's what he's saying. I find it funny because Yahweh Shai ain't going to have a man serving him that's useless. Right? He ain't going to have that. Right? Let's go to Mark. Oh man, maybe just a minute. Let's go to Mark 9. The devil's desperate, man. Let's go to Mark 9 and go straight to verse 17. And one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which have a dumb spirit. So a dumb spirit, he cannot speak, right? Wheresoever he taketh him, he teareth him, and he foameth, and he gnasheth with his teeth, right? And pineth away. And I spake to the disciples that they should cast him out, and they could not. He answered him and saith, O faithless generation, how long should I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him unto me. And they brought him unto him, and when he saw him, straightway the spirit tear him, and he fell on the ground, wallowing, foaming. And he asked his father, How long is it ago since this came unto him? He says, Of a child. Oftentimes they have cast him into the fire, right? Plenty of times, right? And into the waters to destroy him. If thou can do anything, have compassion on us, help us. Yahweh said unto him, If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. Right? And straightway the father of the child cried and said with tears, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. So he said, help it. When Yahweh saw the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him, enter no more into him. And the spirit cried and rent him sore, and came out of him, and he's one as dead, insomuch that many said, He is dead, but Yahweh took him by the hand, lifted him up, and he arose. Key point. Right? Yahweh said unto him, If thou can believe, all things are possible to him that believes. So, what's this thing about useless? The scriptures, all things are possible to him that believe. Right? That's when you got to know when Satan's trying to get up in your mind. And when Yahweh, he was teaching faith. He was teaching to have a high self-esteem. Yeah, anything is possible to him that believes. So, all you got to do is believe. Right? Okay? Because there's people in the world, and I've noticed this, they see you do something or try to attempt to do something and they say, nah, you can't do it. You can't do it. Or have you tried? So it's one thing you not being able to do something, but you trying, that's something else. Because at least you can say, well, I've tried, right? I tried, I put in an effort, rather than say, nah, don't do it. Don't. Our people grew up they have a very negative mindset. And that goes back to slavery as well. Esau, oh no, you can't do that. Just be a footballer. Just rapping. Because when you think of people, you just think rapping, football, entertainment. Nah, you can't fight. You can't fly a plane. You know, they told Drake that in the military, our people that in the military. And what did they end up doing? Flying the planes. And they were some of the best them fighter jets. It was actually our people within World War One. So Esau has drummed that into our people. Oh no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Because he's a fucking devil, that's why. He's taught our people that. Right? But when you come into these scriptures, you actually realize we are a royal people. You can start saying, I can do it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. This whole doubt, oh no, you can't do it. Oh no, you said this. No, yes, you can. You got to have part of having a royal class mentality is food you eat, the way you perceive yourself. Because if you think you ain't shit, then you ain't gonna be shit. If you have that mentality, you're not gonna do anything. And that's why lately I've been trying out different things, different methods, different things, and it's been helping me a lot. I learn about myself within this truth. Yahweh Shai told us to have faith, and with faith, anything is possible. Let's go to Luke 17:6. But I just want to say, I noticed that in certain videos. So this thing is worldwide. You know, they're watching the prophets and they're being told to do this. It's the witches telling them what to do, what to say. Right? Let's go to Luke 17:6. Your Jedi mind tricks ain't working, my man. And I just want to throw this out here as well. If somebody is useless, I'm going to start using that term now. If somebody is useless, why would you have 100,000 people watching that same individual? He's useless, right? Why would you have that much people watching him, right? Why would he be targeted? Because me, I wouldn't waste my time with someone like that. See, so these people, they're not too intelligent. When you read the scriptures, you're able to combat every spirit that comes at you. They want you to give up. They want you to give up faith. because the scriptures also talk about what the talents. So if you have a talent, what's a talent? It's worth. You're more worthy than the people out here, not to be proud, but you have more worth than them because Yahushua called you into the truth. Right? You have God-given talents. Let's go to Luke 17:6. Come on now. Come on. And it says, Baba Kasha, and the apostle said unto the Lord, make sure I'm getting on the right. Yep. And the apostles said unto the Lord, Yahushua, increase our faith. And these were the apostles. They already had faith, but they wanted it to be increased. And there's a prayer for that. I got it in the Hebrew. Let's see if I could. Bear me just a minute. I know I got it in the Hebrew somewhere. Right, check this out. I got this in the Hebrew as well. So the apostles were saying increase our faith, and in the Hebrew is Yahushai, Tawabia, Awafia, Amawan. That means increase my faith, right? I'm gonna say it again. Tawabia, Awafia, Amawan. Right? Increase in the Hebrew is Tawabia. Me is referring to you, it's Awafia, right? And Amawan means faith. Increase my faith. Right? So, and the Lord said, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, look up a mustard seed. You can get them in your local stores. Tiny. So if you have faith as a size of a grain of mustard seed, you might say to this sycamore tree, be thou plucked up by the root, and be thou planted in the sea, and it shall obey you. That's just a little tiny mustard seed of faith. And you should be able to do that, right? Things start happening. Have you ever noticed that? I don't like to call it. People call it manifesting. I don't really like to use that word because the New Agers use that word. But yeah, things start to manifest. You start to see things happen in your life. And people say, "Well, no, you can't just sit there. No opportunity. No. I've even seen it when I've been teaching, really in the spirit, how opportunities come to me. So it can happen. That's what happens when you have faith. And the men that had faith within the scriptures, Daniel, Abednego, Shadrach, Meshach, they were looked to by the rulers of that kingdom for their wisdom and for their great faith that they possessed and the knowledge. But you just got a lot of bitch ass haters out here. They just hate. Alright? If I see someone ain't good at something, you know what I do? I help them out. That's what I do. I don't flip and belittle them. But these people, it shows they don't have any integrity. They're just haters. Sitting in their houses, hating, talking shit until their missiles come. Right? Anyways, bear with me just a minute. Excuse my language. And it says, where was I? And be thou planted in the sea, it shall obey you. Right? So if you say to that sycamore tree, right? Be plucked up by the root and what? Be planted into the sea, it shall obey you. That's the power of faith. That's the power of faith. This is what Yahushua was saying. They were called disciples because the disciples were being disciplined. You ever watch that movie Karate Kid? That's a good movie. He was teaching them first. You have to become a disciple of Yahushua. Then they were being built up. Okay. I hope this is edifying. Because you can't be doing that. Right? Putting down brothers all the time. But how about you? Alright, you put them down, but you better build them up even quicker than you put them down. Go to Philippians 4:13, and this was Apostle Paul. Right? Come on now. Philippians 4:13. Oh, you know what? Start at 11. Not that I speak in respect of want, in to be needful, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am there to be what? Content. Whatever state. There'll be times where you have more, there'll be times where you have less. So we learn to be content. These people, they're not content with their lives. They're not content. I'm seeing people with nice cars, the Mercedes, the BMWs. I do like the BMWs. They're nice cars. I've always liked BMWs. But I'm seeing people with all these cars, everything, and they're still miserable. Right? They're not content. They're looking for that next dopamine fix. right? And I know both how to be a base and I know how to be abound. To be brought low and to abound. Everywhere in all things I'm instructed to be both full and to be hungry, both to be abound, to suffer need. I can do all things. This is what the scriptures say. Forget about what the world says, because they're just demons. I can do all things through Yahweh Shai Mashiach, which strengtheneth me. Now we have to be realistic, because what another person can do, you might not be able to do. But this is an example of great faith. Paul said, "I can do all things through Mashiach, which strengthen me." And you really don't realize that until you step into your lot and you have faith. There's so many things that people told me when I was younger. Oh no, you can't do this. No, I wouldn't do it. I'm not doing it. So why should you do it? That's a wicked ass spirit. Right? I see that all the time. Then you prove them wrong. Then what can they say now? Time and time and time again, you prove your enemies wrong. Time and time again. Oh no, he can't go out there. He can't teach. Nah. Prove them wrong. He can't fix this. He can't fix that. I prove them wrong. Time and time again. It's not to prove anything. It's Yahweh Shai that proves them wrong. Say the popularity contest. And if it was, I would have won a long time ago. Right? So we went to that. And your esteem is tied with how you move, how you perceive yourself. That's what your self-esteem is tied with how you treat people. Right? So people that treat people really, really bad and need to talk down, that's tied with their low self-esteem. Right? Come on now. Come on. So when you have high esteem, you're generally holding yourself in a positive regard, a high regard. But I don't like to say yourself, because it's all based down to you. I want to say the Most High's esteem. Yahweh Shai's. He's the one that gives you that esteem. It's not of ourselves. Right? It's not of ourselves. And when you walk past a lot of these people, you look them in their face, you can see they have low self-esteem. It's just an act. Right? So esteem goes into account, value, worth, right? Estime, self-esteem, good opinion of oneself, especially too high estimate of. I don't like that. See, that's why I don't like this term self-esteem, but I use it anyway. You know what I mean? Our esteem is basically by Yahweh Shai. He's the one that can raise you up. He's the one that can bring you down. Right? I don't care about the opinions of the world. Does that mean I'm arrogant? No. But I care about what Yahweh Shai thinks of me. And we're going to go into Corinthians, Babakashah. Because at the end of the day, that's who you're going to be judged by. Especially you scoffers running your mouths. Right? Yeah, but I've noticed this as well. Brothers, don't fall for it. I've noticed this with brothers. It's the same thing. That's just Satan trying to beat you down. So, I'm looking for that scripture. Let another man esteem. You know what? There's a few scripture concerning this. Let another man esteem other better than. We can go to that. Let another man esteem. You know, there's some people as well. I want to throw this out there. There's some people that they like to study history. You know, for hours and 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 hours. They only go out when they need to go out. That person that's doing that, do you think he cares about what other people think? People better grow. You better grow up in your mind. You better grow up in your mind fast, man. You have so-called adults, but they suffer from something called arrested development. They've already developed, you know. Because you could be 40, 50 years old, but still have the mentality of a child. Better grow up in your mind. So anyway, bear me just a minute. Let's go to Philippians 2 and 3. And I want to grab Corinthians. Bear me just a minute. Why are you gonna monitor someone that's useless? Why are you gonna monitor someone 24/7 that's useless? I'm gonna start using that. I'm gonna start using that phrase, man. Maybe just a minute, right? If you ain't fair in your Hamashai, you're useless. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 10 and 12. Okay, it's alright. They're gonna run out of steam soon. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 10 and 12. For we dare not to make ourselves of that number. That number is 144. In other words, we're not high-minded, right? That's why we say hopeful elect. Or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves. If you're commending yourselves, then probably you've never done a good job in the first place. So we don't compare ourselves with others. Oh, he can do this, and you're just trying to popularity contest, the spirit of the world. That's a vainglory. Stay in your lane. And with some that commend themselves, but they measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise. That's the spirit of the world, right? Because ultimately, what's going to happen? Yahweh Shai, he will exhort you in due time. So you don't need to do all that rubbish. Okay? But we will not boast of things without our measure, but according to the measure of the rule which the Most High distributed to us, a measure to reach even unto you. So every brother has their measure and their portion within this truth. So with the portion and measure you've been given in the truth, you have to use it, whatever talents you were given. For we stretch not ourselves beyond our measure, as though we reach not unto you. For we are come as far as unto you as into preaching the gospel, because Paul was traveling at this time. Not boasting of things without our measure, that is, of other men's labours, but having hope when your faith is increased. That we shall be enlarged by you according to the will abundantly, to preach the gospel in regions beyond you, and not to boast of other men's lies of things made ready to your hand. But he that glorieth, let him glory in Yahweh Shai. Thank you, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Me personally, I know how far I've came from where I was before. And I ain't got my old, I'm talking about proper old videos from my first page to my second page. Esau the devil shut it down. And still, one of my pages are still under investigation. Somehow. Right? But if you look at how I was then till now, major improvement. So it doesn't matter what anybody else has to say, because I know how far I've had to come. For not he that commendeth himself is the proof, but who the Lord commendeth. It's not about you praising yourself. It's about the commending of Yahweh Shai, what he thinks of you. Okay? So is there anything else? That's pretty much it. And one more thing. Kind of draw this lesson out. I didn't want to draw this out too much. Let's go to Philippians 2 and 3. It says, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory. That's that strife, vainglory. I want to compete with him. And that competing comes from insecurities that are within. You know? That's what it is. Insecurities. Low self-esteem. What's the root of low self-esteem? It's insecurities. Because you didn't work on yourself. You didn't do that inner work. Okay? So it says, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory. And guess what? Hey, let's go into that word vainglory. Check it out. Let's get into that definition. See what comes up. Look up these words. Vainglory. Give me just a minute. It's just saying, waiting for contact to load. Alright, Satan wants to mess with it. Alright. We just find another way to get to this. Vainglory. Oh, check this out. Vain, devoid of real value, idle, unprofitable, worthless. void, invalid, feeble, conceited, from Latin valus, empty, void, fruitless. And the scriptures talk about bringing forth fruit. Silly, idle, foolish. And most of these people, they're silly. Just look at their actions, right? They're silly, right? But really, I wanted to get this up in the blue letter. Right? They act silly. They act like fools. Switch to the next one. Right? So let nothing be done through strife or vainglory. Right? People are just thirsty. They need attention because they have miserable lives. And when you wake up to this truth, yes, some of us go out there and because we need to, but we're not going out of our way to be seen. Another sign of someone that's insecure, they need to be seen. You look at me, right? Oh, let me just blast the music in my car. So who's that? Who's that blasting it? Just want attention seeking, like holes, man. Like I said, you better grow up in your mind. So now, we're going to shut off on this. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory. Nothing. Because that brings contention. Right? But in lowliness of mind, humility, let each esteem other better than themselves. You see? In lowliness, man. Let each esteem better than themselves. So now, right, you got it together, right? Well, now you help your brother. You know, I see this potential. I see this potential in you. Do this, do that. I don't, you know what? Don't say do this, do that, but just give him advice where you see his good qualities. And a good leader's man, a leader, he brings out the best in you. A good leader brings out the best in you. A bad leader, he ain't doing shit, right? And a good leader will also bring out some worse traits, but he pushes you to do more. And that's a sign of a good leader. Alright? And the elect, they have, what's the word? Potential, holy potential. King David had holy potential. I want to check something out. Speaking of insecurities, check this out. Go to Samuel's. I'm sure you know about King Saul, right? He was anointed king until King David came on the scene. Right? Check this out. Give me just a minute. See if we can find it. Is this it? No, that's not quite it. No, I can't find it. But I'm looking for that chapter in, I think it's Samuel's, when King David was increasing in the spirit, and King Saul was saying, what more can he have? Right? But the kingdom, and from that moment, he kept an eye on him. An eye on who? King David. Because he saw King David's potential. So even a lot of people that are watching you, you might not even realize your own potential, and other people, some people can see it before you. Okay? And there's a lot of haters out there. That's why you can't be telling everybody what you're doing. Right? A lot of salty individuals out there that want to stop you. Right? So you know what? This is pretty much it. But Lord willing, this was edifying, and this just kind of lifted up your spirit. Okay? You could do anything that Yahweh Shai puts a spirit on you to do, right? And what is that? That's faith. All right, and stop letting people push their the insecurities, their anxieties, and their problems and their issues upon you. Because when they're looking at you like, well, he doesn't have any problems, bro. If you're of the elect, we probably have no, not probably. We have bigger problems than you have. We just that it doesn't show. It doesn't show. But the people in the world, it shows. They age very fast. Oh, okay. But with us, it doesn't show as much. Even though we're going through as much as they're going through, because they're the ones persecuting us. Right? So with this, I hope this was edifying. And on to the next time. Shalom.